Hello everyone, I'm Chris Mozillo Steelixson, and this is a top 10 best Pokemon. Well, yes, you could easily say that I did this in a somewhat reverse order, starting with perhaps the worst Pokemon before going on to the best Pokemon. I would argue it's a lot easier to do, to pick out the ones that are really crap instead of the ones which are a golden beacon of gloriousness. Because, there are like literally hundreds of Pokemon, so, gotta go through them all. The thing is, I also have a mild bias towards Dark and Steel Pokemon, so instead of having the entire list being like, and then there's this Dark Pokemon, and this Dark Pokemon, and this Steel Pokemon, and this Steel Pokemon, I've decided to try and, push the boat out in terms of types and generation and be a little more inclusive in everything. That's not saying that the Pokemon on this list are any less best Pokemon designs than the others that I just mentioned, but it's, a nice variation. But anyway, let's get this puppy started. My top 10 best Pokemon favoritist designs ever. Number 10. For some reason, people often consider the third generation to be a big pile of poop. But come on! Snorunt looks adorable! I mean, look at it. It's a little Inuit-esque oval wearing a triangular coat. He just looks all snug and adorable, all wrapped up in his little coat. I mean, that's pretty much just all I've got on this one. You can't help but look at this one and go, yeah. Okay, so its evolved forms look pretty freaking weird, such as the flying face of death, or this. But still, da, da, da. Number 9. Oh, what's that? Another Hoenn Pokemon? What madness is this? Ninjas are cool, right? Well, maybe not all ninjas, but in general, they're cool. Correct? Well, what about Ninjask? It's a ninja, and a cicada. What eventually became a staple physical sweeper in most teams just has a really nice solid look to him. I mean, sure, Nincada looked really boring and grey, but it was one of the first forms of unique evolutions, with Shedinja being his carcass. Number 8. A lot of the first generation Pokemon have generally quite simple designs, but I like Pinsir, as he's just a giant death beetle. Death beetle? Yeah, have you ever read any of his Pokédex entries? Well, let's have a look, shall we? Oh yes, let's see here. If it fails to crush the foe in its pincers, it will toss the opponent. He seems cheerful. But yes, when I say Death Beetle, I mean it. This thing will use its horns as a means to grip Pokemon and then crush them in half. It's just so unexpected in the initially super sweet and adorable and then slash torn in half by Pinsir with his mighty horns. Also, Mega Pinsir, introduced in Pokemon X and Y, looked really quite cool and actually made it look a lot more evil. Plus, I like the complement of colours. Number 7. The idea of real items coming to life can seem a little silly, unless themed properly. This is theming done right. 9 times out of 10, real world items only work as Pokemon when done as, like, a ghost. And would you look at this, it's a ghost fire Pokemon masquerading as a Chandelier. Chandelier. Get it? Anyone get it? This and its prior evolutions are all a unique type combination, and it just looks so freaking cool. The idea is that it burns spirits in its flames, as fuel, leaving nothing behind but the body, and the spirits are then left to wander the earth, forever lost. Spooky. It just looks quite cool. I was a little torn between this and Litwick, because man, Litwick's adorable, but honestly, I always like the look of Chandelier. Lampent's dumb though. Number 6. The new generation of Pokemon was filled with loads of decent Pokemon designs, but one that stood out the most to me was Noivern. Based on the mixture between a bat and a speaker system, its design is simple enough that it doesn't really feel all that cluttered, and the colours used are all so complementary. It's also kind of cool to see the use of a different look for a dragon, going with, well, a wyvern, as well as how, for once, it's not a dragon Pokemon, based around pure power like, well, every other main dragon ever, but instead, it's a speedier one. The idea of having speakers for ears just seems kinda genius to me as a way of having a bat Pokemon. Well, be more than just a bat. Number 5. The legendary dogs from the Johto region are all pretty cool, except Raikou, because, let's be honest, that face is just something stupid. But I think I find Suicune, 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 this one the best. Well, the name was always something of a big argument in my childhood. Suicune, yes, that is how I'm now saying it, just has a really nice sleek design. Present in a film that was actually sort of good, its nice sleek design is really kinda pretty. While the weird two-tail things it has that come forward only really work in two-dimensional art because, well, these things would really just float behind its tail as it ran. It just looks cool, and you really get an idea, just by looking at it, that it's the embodiment of the northern wind. Number 4. In Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, they introduced a bunch of new Pokemon evolutions for previous generations, by introducing new evolutionary stones that there were very few of in games. Why are you so rare? Why are you so many battle points? But from these stones came the one, the only, Gallade. I don't know if it's just because I was like, carry the one, 13 going on 14 back in July 2007, so I may have had that teenage boy predisposition where anything with swords was cool. But I really like Gallade. Its face looks all like a helmet reminiscent of a gladiator or that of a fencer. It's got swords for arms, for crying out loud. What's cooler than that? Well, 3 other things, but let's ignore that for this point, shall we? While I guess some could think he looks a little bit derpy, as he's all jagged in places here and there, I still really like it. Number 3. A part of me wanted to put Scyther on this list as well as Pinsir, but then I remembered that Scizor, its evolved form, is much cooler. I mean, have you seen Scizor? It's a praying mantis, but with claws for hands. Made of steel. It's just so bright and red, and the only way they can improve this? Mega Scizor! Deciding to make it look more like some sort of killer robot than an insect. Mega Scizor now has massive crocodile claws for arms. Freaking crocodile arms! This is why I love steel Pokemon. They look freaking awesome! Just look at how badass this looks. Although it is a bit weird that these are seemingly meant to just be flying around in forests. Number 2. Remember when I was all like, man, I love steel Pokemon? Well, this is a fighting steel Pokemon, so it totally counts as a different type of Pokemon. I do love Lucario. His film was pretty rad, and as a design, it's pretty solid. I really just like how he's got an Anubis-esque design. While the whole aura nonsense that they try to shoehorn in is a little hazy, I just like how it's a special attack-based fighting Pokemon. This is one of those rare occasions where the Mega Evolution isn't that great. Well, I mean it's great, but, like, it doesn't really add anything, other than some red coloration here and there. Not only do I like Lucario, I like his moves as well. Aura Sphere's a cool looking move, and Lucario's even capable of learning Dark and Psychic moves, so it's like my dream come true. Number 1. Given what I've said many a time, you can only guess what my top choice would be. I'll give you a moment to guess it. Yes? No? Anyone? Darkrai. Yes, a dark Pokemon. It even has dark in the name. Why do I like Darkrai so much? Well, again, I was like 13 or 14 at the time, so you know. But regardless, Darkrai's cool and there's nothing else that needs to be said. Run ending credits. Okay, so Darkrai is seemingly known for putting people into never-ending nightmares in which they never wake up from, putting them into a comatose state. What's not fun about that? But possibly the most notable thing is that it appeared in The Rise of Darkrai. It was always the idea that while Darkrai may look really scary and put children into comas, really he's just misunderstood and people were just judging him by how he looks. What with looking a bit like some sort of Grim Reaper figure. And what's not relatable about that? So yeah, that was some of my favourite Pokemon designs out of all the Pokemon ever as of this moment. If you want, you can tell me some of your favourite Pokemon in the comments section that's down below. And then I'll possibly even read them and then laugh about them to all of my friends. Because let's be honest here, who has friends who's got a top favourite Pokemon? Let alone 10. Hi there, it's currently 2:30 in the morning AM and I've just finished making this. I know, it's well beyond late as I said I'd get this out in January, and now it's April. University work. And it's only going to get worse from here, so who knows when the thing will be out. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you liked it, be sure to say so down below. I love reading comments about how much people either hate me or like me, preferably either. And if you want, you can even check out the other 2 videos I did for Pokemon, which are on the screen right now. Anyway, see you next time. Leaving nothing but the leaving nothing behind but the body behind and the spirits. Because man, liquid. Why you? Why? So I may have had that teenage boy previous, but this is one of those rare occasions, as well as being, you know, which has the classic story of how everyone thought this one little dream into